December 31st, 2002, when I received my beautiful, shiny Game Boy SP. And along with it, I received two amazing games, Pokemon Silver and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. While for the whole year of 2003, I played through Pokemon Silver non-stop, there was one game that was in the back of my mind constantly as a game that I just couldn't beat. I barely got into the first area, I barely got into the first dungeon. In fact, I don't think I even beat the first dungeon, and that was A Link to the Past. It was a magical game because of that. This wondrous game where I don't know all the secrets and I barely even know how to get past the starting gate. And as a kid, I kind of left it. I kind of ignored it and went on with Pokemon, even though I wanted so badly to be able to be good at these games. Fast forward to July 2nd, 2015, and that's when I played The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time for the first time on the Virtual Console. And pretty much overnight, I woke up to this video I uploaded, kind of blowing up in a lot of ways. And that game will forever be the reason that my channel is pretty much here now. My channel started growing a community off Zelda that then manifested into other games as well, such as the Mario series, the Paper Mario series, and even recently Banjo-Kazooie. I have such a reverence for the Legend of Zelda series, and I am eternally grateful for everything that it has given me. Yes, they're a fun series of games with some amazing gameplay in them. But not only that, but they have given me amazing stories that I've cried over, beautiful characters that I can never stop thinking of, and music that gives me chills every single time I hear it. But maybe more importantly than that, it's created a community around my channel, in my opinion, probably one of the best communities out there. And it's also given me a lot of friends. I have made friends on the internet through The Legend of Zelda, and to think, if I never played Ocarina of Time, would I even know a lot of the people that I know now? The answer is a straight up no. Today I'm going to be doing something that might be a little bit sacrilegious, but I'm going to be ranking my favorite Zelda games of all time because this has been asked of me many times, and now that I've actually officially played 10 Zelda games all the way through, I can finally do this. This is all in good fun. I love all of these games. I think all of them are beautiful. I think all of them are beautiful in their own way. But of course, we're always going to have our favorites and we're always going to have our own rankings of them. If you have a different opinion, that's fine, but that's how opinions work, and I'm really, really, really excited to do a video like this. Let's have some fun. At number 10 is The Legend of Zelda: Phantom Hourglass. Why is it at number 10? Well, it has a lot to do with the Temple of the Ocean King and using the stylus. Not that they're annoyances or hindrances or extreme annoyances, I think it's just something that was always hard to overcome. It was always the hardest part of those games. And if you look at the other games in the series, I find the gameplay to be a lot better in my personal opinion. That doesn't mean that I don't love this game, because there's so much stuff I love about this game. Traveling across the world in a boat, especially in your boat. This is your freaking boat that you upgrade and you create and like change over time. It is one of the most magical experiences that you can have, especially traveling with such a good character like Linebeck, who does grow, does change, become kind of like, he reminds me of the Grinch almost, growing a heart that like 3 sizes that day. And his relationship between Link and Celia as well, all three of them together create this amazing dynamic that honestly like is, well, that dynamic is fantastic. You have these two characters constantly bickering, but you can kind of tell as time goes on they're starting to care about each other a little bit more. And Link is once again in between these two characters, but I think he plays his part perfectly at the same time. It is a beautiful game, and they show a lot of great cultures, some great monsters, and honestly it's a fun continuation of the Wind Waker story, which is one of my favorite stories across all of Zelda. It also has a lot of emotional moments that did actually make me tear up at the end. And at the same time, it also has some amazing bosses as well, and some amazing boss designs. I think Phantom Hourglass is great. I know it gets a bad rap, but I still think it's amazing. The idea of putting it at the 10 kind of hurts me, because I feel like it feeds into this idea that like it is probably the worst game, but I don't really think of it as the worst game. It's just probably my least favorite in the entire series, even though it's amazing. I always like to use the analogy of the 10 donuts thing. Yeah, I love every single donut on this plate, but you're gonna have a favorite one, you know what I mean? That's just how it works. But I love this game anyway. I think Linebeck is one of the greatest characters of all time, but there's just certain things about the other games that I think always will be better in my heart. At number 9 is The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. Now, this game to me is one of the most mechanically sound games that will be on this series because it is very compact and small, but I feel like it benefits a lot from being very small and compact. Not only that, but I feel like in terms of the story in this game, I honestly would recommend it to anybody. While it's not extremely dire and it's not like it's always in your face, there is something to the game when you have something like Eslo who is on your head all the time, who at the start can be kind of a little bit, off-putting. Eventually you realize he's honestly one of the best characters across all of Zelda, and as you learn about his relationship with one of my favorite villains of all time, which is Vaati, it becomes very, very clear that this story is more mature and more emotionally, impactful than we once thought it was at the start of the game. Not only that, but again, it's fun to play. It's just one of the most fun games to play. Every time you're moving, it feels good. There's not one moment in the game where you're like, oh, this is kind of bogged down, or this doesn't feel good to play, or I don't really like the way this is happening. Jumping feels good, swinging your sword feels good, shooting an arrow feels good, using your different items that you get over the game feels good, and of course shrinking down with the shrink mechanic where you can turn into a little Minish is one of the best mechanics ever, because not only does it lead to some of the most fun gameplay aspects, it also leads to the most interesting ones. You get to go on top of a bookshelf or go on top of a house beam and walk on it like it was a big long roadway or something. But I think the shrink mechanic kind of speaks to the entire Zelda series on a whole. You can find the coolest things in the Zelda games in the smallest nooks and crannies, and in this case, you shrink down and you find some of the most beautiful and hidden things within the game, and I don't think I even found all of the amazing things that I was able to find in this game. Once again, it's a beautiful game. I think at the end of this game I probably cried too. I'm a crybaby, but I think we all are crybabies deep down. Some people just don't want to admit it. Vaati and Eslo have one of the best character arcs in this story, and I really fucking love how this game plays, looks, and feels, and I even love the freaking music as it plays over, because oh my god, the overworld music in this game never gets annoying and I could listen to it anytime. At number 8, it's time to get a little bit controversial, because I know this is going to rub a few people the wrong way, but the next game on the list is in fact The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now, this game is a classic. This game is a classic. And honestly, it's the start of my entire Zelda journey if you really think about it. I replayed this game this year and my eyes are 100% open, because while this game originally would have been on the bottom of my list, it's definitely bumped up a lot more by the second playthrough I did. The world always feels great to be in. It has a specific rhythm to the game that you can always feel as you're going through the game. Everything is kind of like in its place and keeps going on and moving solidly, which was true for a lot of the games at the time, but I don't think that's a bad thing, because the rhythm becomes so familiar that when it changes, when Ganondorf changes the world and the world goes to shit, you feel a lot more because the rhythm is gone. Everything that was so apparent to you originally, that was so normal and gave you kind of this comfort. I can go into Hyrule Castle and see the same people there moving about the place. All of a sudden, all of that's gone, which kind of makes the world a little bit more appealing to fight for, in my opinion. The rhythm being broken is just a fantastic mechanic that honestly I hope was definitely intentional. It can kind of be seen as a basic Zelda, but I really don't feel that way. I think it's honestly given way to some of the greatest games I've ever played, an example being Dark Souls. I do not think that Dark Souls would be so mechanically sound if it wasn't for Ocarina of Time doing a lot of the stuff Dark Souls did first. I love this game. I love the culture. I think it has great bosses. I think it has a rewarding exploration, because if you do explore the world, you will get better, and not only will you get better things, you get better items, and it feels better to play the game, and the world becomes more realized as you're playing through the game. I could play it again. I really could play it again and feel that rhythm again, the great themed dungeons, the horrific tales you get to see throughout the game. And not only that, but I think protecting Zelda becomes way more important, as Ganondorf, in my opinion, is probably at his most terrifying point within this game. He's scary, and that's why protecting Zelda and saving this world feels scarier. It's terrifying because now you have this really big threat that is coming up against you. At number 7, it's The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. The time aspects of this game works, but it's not ideal for the way I like to play Zelda. This game is, however, freaking stupendous. I think the town feels real and lived in, especially how normal it is, even though there's like this impending doom coming over it. It's so intricate and detailed, with secrets even within the town and all over in the overworld as well. Before you even enter the side areas and the dungeons and the different valleys you can go through, the world is already really depthful and in-depth. The masks are an unbelievably cool feature. It did get kind of wearing to kind of change your mask all the time when you were going through areas, but that actually could just be the way I was doing it. But collecting all of the masks was unbelievably rewarding. It did feel good. It felt like I earned something at the end of this game. Skull Kid is an unbelievably interesting character. You want to learn more about this kid or this character from Ocarina of Time, and I feel like they give you a lot of that in this game. While not really revealing everything, which still leaves a lot to the imagination, they reuse assets a lot in this game, but you can tell that they worked incredibly hard to make it its own individual experience, and I think that's what Majora's Mask 100% is. If I could direct your attention though to one character that still impacts me to this day, that when I think about it I get heavy in my heart, and that is a little girl in the game named Pamela, who has probably not only the coolest house in the game, but I think the coolest story. You enter her house and it's full of dark charms, and it's unbelievably clean at the same time. Downstairs she is warding off her father's evilness, like he is turned into something that she doesn't even recognize, and she is trying her best to keep that evil locked within that wardrobe. But what makes her character so amazing to me is that when you go upstairs, her house is spotless. While her father is gone, and while the world is going to shit around her, Pamela still finds the time to make sure that the house is clean, so when her father eventually does come back, and this is my own headcanon, but this is how I feel, when her father eventually does come back, it'll be how he remembered it. And I just think that's such a beautiful fucking story, and I think about it. I think about it at least once per week. Yeah, there's so many details and so many things to do in this game, and like every second counts, and honestly it makes it a little more threatening, and honestly a little bit more, I guess, the word what I'd be looking for is suspenseful. You can't waste your time in this game. You can't waste your movements. And if you are going to waste your movements, you better make sure you're doing it for a good reason. At number 6, it was a game that was once my favorite Legend of Zelda game, and that is The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. I'm saying HD because the other version I never played, but it's the only version I actually played, and I fucking love this game. At first, I wasn't very into it. I think if you watch my Let's Play, you can kind of see that I wasn't as into the first parts of the game, but as I'm thinking about it more and more, and as there's more time that has gone from that first part of the game, it honestly is one of my favorite openings ever. I replayed the opening once or twice in the past while, and even once on the channel as well. And it is a slow burn, but honestly it makes the game more important to me as time goes on, because you know what you had, you know what Link had before everything went to crap, and which makes his character more real, which makes his situation more real. And not that games have to be real, but at least it gives you something to fight for and something to want to go back to, and I feel like that's what the game does amazingly well. Not only that, but it has one of the best styles and vibes to a game in the Zelda series. You can definitely tell across all these games that they do have very different styles, but some of the games are kind of similar to each other in a lot of ways, and I don't think that's really escapable when they use the same assets across some of the games at the same time. Twilight Princess is dark, but it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and a lot of people don't like the kind of orange mixed with the black, the kind of dark shadows, but for me, as soon as that started happening all around the world, weirdly enough, as a big Winona Ryder fan, I was at home. Very at home. Don't ask me how that's related. Playing as Wolf Link in this game is so much fun. And it's almost a sadness that comes over me when I actually have to change from Wolf Link into regular Link, because it's so fun to just jump on something, attack something really quickly, and jump back off it and keep going from attack to attack to attack as quickly as possible. And for someone as me who wasn't very good at the game, this kind of like easier mechanic was so welcome. And I kind of really want to go back and play this game desperately just to see how different my opinions might be on the game this time. I remember texting my friend and saying, I don't think Twilight Princess is that good of a game. But at the end of it, I texted him again and said, you were right, this game is unbelievably fantastic. And one of the main reasons for that was, besides all the amazing gameplay, and beside the amazing world and the amazing vibes, Midna is one of my favorite companions, if not the best companion that I have seen in a game. I would say second favorite in all the Legend of Zelda series. It says a lot about a character that at first you can be very annoyed by how this character is acting, but then at the end of it, you don't want them to go, you do not want them to leave, and I think that says so much about their relationship and that character. And you can see Midna changing over time. You can see Midna at first being very snarky, but then still very snarky towards the end, but with a mixture of kind of support and kind of a resolute kind of like feeling along with Link, this companionship that they're feeling. And I think that along with some amazing boss battles and some amazing gameplay, I think what sets this game so high for me in all of my favorite games of all time is the vibes, the colors, the darkness, the music, and just how good the atmosphere is in this game. It's really great.